What's up, everybody? It's Terminator Juice, and finally another Juice Opinions. It's been a couple weeks. I think the last one was my Why Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is the most unnecessary port, Wii U port on the Switch. But we're not going to talk about that this time. Got quite a few topics here. I want to start with Rocket League patch that hit earlier this week. Talk about Spyro the Dragon remastered or whatever. And then stemming from that, some idiot I got sucked into a discussion with on Twitter about that and the new Tomb Raider game on the Switch. And then I want to finish up with my impressions or thoughts on Wolfenstein II gameplay that we've seen so far from PAX East. So, all right, let's get in. Rocket League. So they had the big tournament update. I didn't even mess with that stuff yet. I just wanted to check out the new higher resolution. I tried the quality mode and the video capture, which I've used quite a bit on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, put at least 4 or 5 videos up of Rocket League so far. Every time I play a match, it seems like I'm capturing something. So really cool feature. The only bad thing is I'm like, oh, I'll save that replay or I'll capture that moment. And then I'll forget to save the replay, and the match might have been really good overall, but I only have that 30-second clip. So it is what it is. I'm gonna have to try to, adjust and say, hey, save that fucking replay if it was a really good match. Yeah. So my impressions of the Switch patch as far as the visuals. The up res just in the standard mode, the 60 frames per second mode is significant in my opinion. I don't know if it's related to that. There does seem to be a little bit more lag maybe. In online matches, that could be the video capture thing. That could be something completely unrelated, but it did feel like there was a little more jitter in the online matches after the patch, and the game still crashes, so they did not fix that. It happened a couple times, not as much. I actually gave all my victory crates to Retro Death to see if that would fix it, because every time you open one, it crashes. But my game did crash. I was playing with Stitched, and we ended a match, and then I got booted. So it's still happening, but the visuals, like I said, it's a significant improvement in just resolution. The only negative to that is they didn't adjust the font size for your calling out, in the upper left corner, calling out to your teammates and stuff. So the text is really small. They need to increase the size of the text to adjust for the higher resolution. But the game looks good. Still runs fine. I mean, it feels like the frame rate and everything's fine. It just feels like when you're online, there's a little bit of a stutter now that wasn't there as much before. But I haven't tried portable mode to see the improvement there. They already fixed the resolution portable mode, months ago. So I'd be curious to see how good that looks. But the game looks really good now. Like I wouldn't be like tentative about showing a PC guy, hey, come, let's play Rocket League. This is what it looks like on the Switch. It's a nice improvement. Some of the stages look significantly better, others not as much. And what's up, everybody in the chat? Tony Karan. It's been a while. I don't think, I haven't done a Juice Opinions in a while, so I don't know if you were in the last one. But anyway, Rocket League, I mean, it's a great game. 115 hours I have in it right now. Bought some of the microtransaction stuff because I think it is a great game, and for $20 if you didn't get it on sale, I have no problem putting a few extra bucks if I want to for cosmetic stuff. But this patch, this update really does improve the visuals of the game. I know Red Knight was pretty critical when the game launched of how it looked, and I even said, like, there's no reason this shouldn't look better. Mario Kart 8 looks phenomenal, 4-player split screen. Rocket League should be able to to look better. There's a lot of variables in Rocket League, though. Someone can have an animated car paint job, and there's all kinds of different things going on with things you can put on your vehicle and stuff. And You know, it's got the physics of the ball and everything. So, you know, it's got a little bit more going on maybe, but when I first saw it, I was like, there's no reason this shouldn't look better. Well, now it looks better, and it didn't seem to come at really any cost. The quality mode, I tried it for like 5 minutes. The visual improvement is, other than I think anti-aliasing's the thing I noticed the most on the cars and stuff, but it ain't worth playing at 30 frames per second. Like, I play Doom at 30 frames per second and it feels like 60, but playing Rocket League, it just feels like your reactions to everything is late, and maybe you get adjusted to it, but it's not worth it. It doesn't look that much better in my opinion. So I immediately went back to performance. So, but it's a great update. You know, a game that I'm just been loving ever since I bought it, playing it more and more, getting better. I actually went through a kind of a downward spiral as far as my abilities. It feels like, I don't know if I just get paired up with better because I'm a veteran status and I got my ranking up and competitive up a little higher. I started playing better players, and then I just didn't hold, you know, I wasn't anything. I was just average compared to those guys. Yeah, you know, and it kind of put me in a bit of a funk, and I was having trouble winning. I was losing a lot of matches, and some matches I barely even get to touch the ball. But then I came out of it, and now I feel like, you know, I'm doing really good. And sometimes you got to take over when you're playing with a rookie and somebody for the first time. Won't name any names. You know, we didn't have any chemistry going on, and the other guy was an absolute rookie. You got to try to take over. I uploaded a clip where I scored with 7 seconds left to tie up a match. That match might have been with Clocked It and Stitched. There was definitely one where I was playing with a rookie, and you know, I did everything I could, and you know, I'm just not good enough to take over a match. You know, my skills are kind of in the middle, and I feel like I was progressing skill wise significantly, and then I kind of plateaued. But it's still a fun game, winning or losing. It's a fun competitive game that I can just play for half hour and stuff. And, you know, the matches are 5 minutes. It's on my system. It's installed digitally, so it's always there. Great game. And this update, for anybody that hasn't picked up Rocket League, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but at this point, it's getting day one. The updates are coming same day on the Switch as everyone else. I wasn't calling you a rookie. Clocked It. There was actually a rookie playing with me and Stitched after you left. But anyway, they you know, the major updates are coming day and date on Switch, and I don't know how many more they're, you know, they have said, Psyonix, that they're just going to keep adding to this game. They're not going to start some other game and try to make some new franchise or anything. They're just going to, you know, continue with Rocket League. And this tournament update, which I haven't even got into the tournament side, came the same day on all platforms. I mean, that's a great sign. Now that, you know, I feel like there won't be any more like major visual improvements, but maybe they can obviously fix the game from crashing occasionally, and maybe any frame rate or, you know, jitters that are happening online, maybe they can smooth that out. But it's a current, you know, popular game getting updates the same time as the other consoles. They just I mean, the game came out in November. You're just getting a significant performance boost as far as visuals. They're still supporting the game. So, I mean, I would recommend anybody picking this game up. $20 digital if it's not on sale, and then the physical, you know, kind of was on sale for a little while. So great game. All right, let's talk about the Spyro the Dragon. What is it? Reignition or whatever trilogy. I'm going to be honest. I have 0 seconds of playtime with a Spyro the Dragon game in my life. I've never touched one even for a second. I have no idea. I've heard over the years, you always hear about a few people reminiscing about the first game actually being pretty good, you know, pretty good 3D platformer. The PS1 just, I mean, by the end, like Spyro 3 looked pretty decent, but those first generation PS1 3D games, they looked fucking terrible. And Spyro, to me, was the first one that looked okay, but compared to the N64, they didn't hold a candle. So I never had a PlayStation 1. I knew a couple people that had them, and I never played that game. I never played Crash when it was, popular. I played it a little bit years later for 5 minutes, and then I played it in Uncharted 4, that level. So Spyro the Dragon gets shown off. It's what Crash did. It's taking the exact same games and just giving them really nice visuals, and it looks nice. And if the games were fun at all, having better controls and better visuals could definitely make that a better game. That maybe if you went back and played the originals, you'd be like, yeah, this is trash. They could bring them a little bit more to modern standards with controls and stuff. And so it's like, yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Never played the game, so I'm not like all excited anyway. And then I see at the end, you got the PS4 and Xbox logos at the very edge, and this whole middle section open. So I'm like, you know what? I don't care about this game, but any game like from this point out, I said it a while back, that's not coming out Switch, not being announced day and date, not coming out day and date, it's unacceptable at this point. Switch is over a year old. They had dev kits for at least 6 months plus before the Switch came out. And it's like, I'm not saying this game isn't coming to Switch at any point, and maybe it's Nintendo, wanted to announce it later, whatever. Even if it gets announced later, if this isn't coming out the same day, like, it doesn't make any sense at this point, especially 3D platformers. I don't know if Crash Trilogy is gonna sell 3 million on the Switch. I forget on PS4 it was selling well, especially in Europe. I think it's gonna do pretty good on the Switch. But if you're gonna put Spyro the Dragon on the Xbox One and not on the Switch, that just makes no sense. So that was my first reaction. And then you find out later that Nintendo's UK online store had it listed, and it showed up as Spyro Remastered, and then it was pulled. So I have a feeling the game's coming, but it still holds true. There's no reason this shouldn't be day and date. It comes out in September. Like, even if they started right now, you think they'd be able to port the damn game. And I'm not going to sit there and try to bullshit you guys with OJ's argument. Well, they started the development of the game before the Switch was even shown. How many PS3 games launched day and date with the Xbox 360 back in the 6th or 7th gen, or even in the 6th gen? The PS3 and the Xbox 360 are completely different architecture. They had to port every single game, every single multiplat had to be ported to the PS3 from the 360 version, but they all came out day and date. Now, maybe that'll start happening like next year, but I don't understand why it isn't already happening. From this day forward, I don't understand why games come out later. Like the first year, it seemed like Panic Button had their hands full with Rocket League and Doom, and then Rocket League patches, Doom updates and patches and stuff. Wolfenstein II, maybe they couldn't have their full team on it, and that's why it's taken longer. But from this day forward, I don't understand that. So let's just say for a second, it's Nintendo. They wanted to announce it. They weren't ready to announce it, and this game got leaked. Maybe Activision just said, you know what, fuck, it got leaked. We're just going to have to announce it now. We don't have Nintendo's permission to have the Switch logo, because that has happened where Nintendo was it hadn't made it through that stupid process they have for games getting announced for their system. And it's possible because of the leak that Activision had to put this announcement out before they wanted to. Maybe they wanted it to be at E3, So there's a lot of factors. I think the game's coming to the Switch. I have no doubt. Actually, it's coming to the Switch. Is it a big deal? Is it a big franchise? No. But just based on principle, any game from this point out, I think should be day and date. Should be on the Switch if it's a multi-plat, especially a 3D platform. It just makes no sense. And what I've seen of Crash off-screen footage, Game Explain's video from PAX East, I mean, it looks really good, actually. I was kind of surprised visually. Gameplay-wise, not so much. But Spyro actually looks a little more appealing to me than Crash. So we'll see. Like I said, I think it's coming. There's a lot of factors could have been why they couldn't announce at this point. The thing I want to talk about, the idiots on Twitter, is you see people talking about, oh, Nintendo fan tears, blah, blah, blah. You know, Spyro's not coming to the Switch. First of all, it's Spyro the Dragon. No one really cares that much. It's not up to level of even Crash. Like Crash was very popular. Sold really well, the Insane trilogy. Spyro, to me, I would be shocked if it's even half the sales of what Crash did. You know, Spyro to me is just not that big of a franchise. So acting like Nintendo fans are crying and upset, that's just stupid in the first place. The second thing is I decided to click on the official trailer on Twitter and read, the comments. And there's a lot of people saying, where's the Switch version? And then you got reply from this one person saying, I would love this to be on Switch, just like with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't want to have to buy a PS4 for a couple games. And then you got another idiot, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or the Switch can't handle Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And I'm like, wait a minute, why not? So I replied to him, I'm like, yeah, the Xbox 360 can't handle Rise of the Tomb Raider. Oh, wait. And then LOL. And then I put Wolfenstein 2 alone proves that it can run on the Switch. These games can run on the Switch. And then I got a bevy of, well, Wolfenstein doesn't prove anything. That's a different game engine, blah, blah, blah. And then one stupid motherfucker, romancer, something, obviously has no knowledge, is dumb enough to say that the id Tech 6 engine is very scalable. Bethesda did that on purpose, which, Bethesda is the publisher. It was actually id Software who made Doom, but and the engine. I am positive Square did not make their engine scalable. And I'm like, go watch Digital Foundry's comparisons of the Xbox 360 and Xbox One versions of Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then come back and we'll have a conversation. And he's like, well, that's similar hardware. That doesn't prove anything. You don't even know what you're trying to prove. And I'm like, similar hardware? Then the idiot backs out of the conversation because that's what people do. And I'm thinking, I don't think it was a troll. I think he really thought that. And people are so, I don't know the word. If you can't comprehend that Rise of the Tomb Raider running on the Xbox 360 and being a showcase for Xbox One X is the definition of a scalable engine, I don't know what to say. And I got other people replying and stuff, and I'm just like, so if someone actually believes that Shadow of the Tomb Raider can't run on the Switch because the engine's not scalable, but when I brought up the fact that the engine is very scalable, started on the 7th gen, Rise of the Tomb Raider looks and performs really well on the Xbox 360. And when that game came out in 2015, that was a 10-year-old console at the time. 12-year-old architecture, 500 megabytes of RAM, can run Rise of the Tomb Raider. Why the fuck can't the Switch run Shadow of the Tomb Raider, And it's just that mindset that, oh, the Switch can't do this. And then someone's like, well, Wolfenstein 2, again, doesn't prove anything. That doesn't prove to you that a current gen game can run on the Switch. I don't know what the fuck would prove to you. Does Shadow of the Tomb Raider have to be on the Switch before you'll say it'll run on the Switch? It doesn't make any sense, and people just keep underestimating the Switch and what it can do. I don't know how many more games need to be impressive multiplat needs to come to the Switch before people stop thinking like that. And I know Clocked It's in the chat. I was actually going to have him come on because in the Juices Loose podcast, he kind of called us all out and be like, "Hey, I'm impressed as hell as what the Switch can do. I don't think the Switch needs a performance boost," and he's pretty much right at this point. From what I've seen from the Wolfenstein 2 gameplay, first the off-screen footage and now the direct feed footage, I'm very impressed. And Doom was impressive, but Doom, everyone's like, well, Doom's got like demons and fantastical environments, and Wolfenstein's realistic. What's a realistic looking game going to look on the Switch? The Switch can't handle. Wolfenstein 2 is way more graphically intense than Doom. It looks so good. It runs 60 frames per second on PS4 and it's got all these bells and whistles. It's gonna, obviously the Switch ain't gonna be able to run that game. It's gonna look terrible. Even I kind of said, I was wondering where the ceiling was at when Doom was first shown, and they mentioned Wolfenstein 2. I'm like, well, if Doom's got to be sub 720, 30 frames per second, how is Wolfenstein 2? Well, I thought Wolfenstein 2 was a 30 frames per second game back then. So I didn't know they had the room to for the Switch version to drop to 30, but I don't know what else does the Switch have to do to prove to these people? What other games got to come to the Switch and look like impressive and seem to be running fairly well before people are gonna be like, yeah, the Switch can run that. Why isn't that on the Switch? Yeah, that's a good point. The Artisan, a lot of these people you debate with started gaming with the PS3 generation, so they don't know anything about, they don't have as much gaming history, but I don't think this became as much of an issue until that generation, honestly. The hardware gaps were way smaller back then in the older generations. But my question, like I said, what third-party multiplat has to come to the Switch to start to shut people up and convince people that games can run on the damn Switch? Like I think it was Vector 3. He's a new YouTuber, and he said he's done some programming and stuff, and he says that coming to the Switch is not a matter of if it can, it's if they want to, and if they want to spend the time and resources optimizing it. But the game engines are pretty much all supported at this point. I have a feeling what's DICE's stupid, what's the EA, the engine, I don't even know what the hell it's called, Frostbite. Once that gets on the Switch, I mean, that's pretty much all of them, all the major ones. And it's like, it's not a question of if it can, it's how many sacrifices will it have to be to make the game run on there. And is, Call of Duty, if Call of Duty is 30 frames per second on the Switch, but looks, up to Wolfenstein 2 standards, if everybody on the Switch is all at 30, would that be a problem? Maybe, maybe not. If the controls are as twitchy and fast as Doom with the Call of Duty, aim down the sight, I don't think that'd be an issue. But I do think if they try to keep it at 60, that would be where you'd see maybe too much of a visual sacrifice. I'm not sure. Just kind of brainstorming, thinking out loud right now. If you keep the game at 60, I'd be curious at how far they'd have to take resolution and all that. But you think about Xbox 360, PS3 Call of Duties, we're all at 60, ran at like 540, 640p. But they weren't bad looking games. I mean, Black Ops 2 still looks pretty damn good, even on the Wii U and the Xbox 360. I would be fine playing, I played World War II on an Xbox One X, and it didn't feel like that wow factor, if you want to even call it that, was gone within 5 minutes. I'm just playing, same, getting killed by campers and glitching dudes, just like the old days. But so what if it looks closer to Xbox 360, PS3 generation? I mean, those games were fun. Those games sold really well, played really well. Would that be a big thing? Would that be a problem? I don't know. I can say after playing Doom that 30 frames per second with those controls, it's fine. I would be all for it. And we'll have to see. Activision, I don't know what their plan is. Crash is like their first like big game coming to the Switch. Spyro, I think's coming. Will Call of Duty be on the Switch this year? With Black Ops 4 with Treyarch, has a long history with Nintendo. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not going to say it's going to be, but after seeing Wolfenstein 2 running in direct feed, if it looks like that at 30, that'd be fine. But if it looks worse than that and runs at 60 and plays, the 60 is locked and the online's good and stuff, who really cares in the long run? I was worried about Doom being blurry and stuff, and yeah, the first couple hours maybe I was thinking, man, this is blurry. Man, this isn't what I'm used to. Once that got past that point, I played through the whole game, 30 plus hours, got to the end, watched the credits. I wasn't thinking about that shit anymore. I was just still amazed at how quickly my character turned, how quickly he moved through the environment, how Twitch reaction controls I had in a 30 frames per second game. It still blows my mind. And I hope Wolfenstein, getting back to that game, please add the gyro aiming, because if you add the gyro aiming, that's day one for me. Might be the definitive console version. As long as I don't have to download and install 20 gigs on top of the physical version, that's my only concern. If it's mandatory, I didn't really talk about this too much, but Doom fit on the cart, and then you downloaded, which became mandatory, the multiplayer, and then we've had updates and stuff. But if I could delete all that and play the base game single player on the cart, the biggest negative for me about Doom is not the frame rate, is not the resolution, the blurriness, it's the sound quality. At times, like when you're in hell and you trigger, I forget what they're called, but you get the dude talking in the demonic voice. When that comes through at full 5.1 surround sound and my subwoofer is just completely engaged, I'm like, this is just as good as it was on PC. But then there's times where there's a lot of sound effects going on and you can just tell there's audio clipping and it's just a compressed audio file. It's the difference between, in the old days, an MP3 that's like 64 kilobytes in size versus MP3 that's 300 megabytes in size. The sound quality is immensely different, especially on a full range audio system. So what I'm thinking is put the game on the cart, the whole game. Give me the option and let me make the decision if I want to download a 10 gigabyte uncompressed audio file. Because I would do that, and I could delete that later on when I'm done playing the game. The game's still playable completely with the current audio. It's just not as good as I was hoping. And if you're gonna sacrifice, some visual fidelity, I'd want the audio to be phenomenal. So give me the option. It might not even be 10 gigs. It might be 2 gigs. It might be 5. Who knows? I wouldn't mind seeing that as an option. And Wolfenstein 2 could be the opportunity to do that. Don't force people to have to download 10 gigs. There might be somebody who plays mostly in handheld, or they play with their TV speakers. That's not going to affect them one bit. Don't make them install a big file for that kind of stuff. And I don't know if the bigger file would have any higher res or higher quality textures. I just don't know how that all works. Doom, being on 16 gigs, the whole game, the whole single player, seems, pretty good. But like I said, the audio feels compressed to me. So give me the option and I'll be all for that. I will definitely rather have that than like, oh, you buy the cartridge, 30 gig, install on top of the cartridge because, oh, we only wanted to use a 4 gig cart. That kind of stuff will turn me off, and that would be the one thing stopping me from buying Wolfenstein 2 on the Switch. And I see some people in the chats talking about Doom looks ugly. It looked ugly for like maybe 2 hours, but then I got towards the end of the game, and I snap screenshots and stuff, the game looks great. There's areas where the game looks really good. Most of the game looks, pretty good, and then some parts of the game look really bad. Overall, it's a pretty good looking game on the Switch. In general, I play on a 65-inch TV, so I mean, if it's going to look bad, I'm going to notice it. There are times where it does look bad. There are times when it looks really good, near PS4 levels, in my opinion. Obviously, it's running at 30 frames instead of 60, but there's areas where the shadows, where the lighting, everything's just right, and the Switch can handle it, and it's at the full 720p resolution, I'm guessing, instead of dropping down. So we'll see. It remains to be seen. Wolfenstein 2, no release date yet, no information. Is it going to be, like I said, download required? I said I really didn't want to buy a game that had that download required. It just kind of sucks to buy a physical game and then have to download stuff. But Breath of the Wild I have on the cart, and I have 2 gigs of stuff I've downloaded. As paid DLC and some updates. But that's kind of how gaming works. I've kind of lightened up on that since it first was announced with NBA 2K18, and hopefully the bigger size game cards, as time goes on, those become more available, be cheaper, and we won't have these problems. But overall, I'm really looking forward to Wolfenstein 2. I'm going to look for, Wolfenstein: A New Order, either on PS4 or PC. I'm going to try to find the cheapest version and play through that, because I know I got a while. I'm going to guess at least a month, if not longer, before Wolfenstein 2 hits the Switch, just to play the first game and then be ready for the second one. So that's all I got. Actually looking forward to turning on some Rocket League possibly, and just relaxing for the weekend. Obviously, Juiceless Podcast will be talking about all this, PAX East. I'm sure Game Explain is going to have direct feed footage of Crash Bandicoot on the Switch and Dark Souls, because that's what they do. And Dark Souls, to me, the off-screen footage looked okay, but even running on Xbox One X or PS4 Pro, that game doesn't do anything for me visually. Even at full 4K, watch, it still just looks, there's nothing the Switch could do to make that game look really good to me. If the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X versions don't do anything to make that game look really good. There's that free or that beta or whatever. I might try that game out. I don't know. It just does not look, appealing to me. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 12 feet. Give me the option to download uncompressed audio on top of the standard low quality audio, the compressed audio. Give somebody like me an audiophile with a full range sound system, the opportunity, if I want to download just uncompressed audio and add to the game experience. Not required, and something I could delete later on and won't be messing out. But just to answer that. And yeah, Dark Souls, definitely not a pretty game. And the Switch version doesn't look that much better than 360. The Xbox One, PS4 versions don't look that much better. You can't, without remaking the game, you can't polish a turd, is what they say. And we'll have to see. Probably not a game I'm picking up. Really, I don't even know what the next, physical Switch game is I'm going to buy. Mario Tennis is the first one I know about, and that's June. So will Wolfenstein 2 come out before then? Probably not, but maybe. Until then, I'm just going to keep picking up indie games, playing Rocket League, and ARMS occasionally, Splatoon, and enjoying those games. And finished SteamWorld Dig 1 yesterday. Great game. Got it on sale for $5. I recommend that. And I don't know, I'm looking at another indie game. I haven't decided yet, but yeah, Nintendo Labo is coming out soon for those people, people with families and like that kind of stuff. The garage kit looks really cool. So there's some exciting stuff coming out, just nothing really for me as a Wii U owner. There's, Wii U ports and stuff coming out. So nothing I'm really looking forward to, but that's going to be it for this Juice Opinions. Like I said, Monday we'll be covering this, similar topics, getting everybody's feedback. And anything else that happens over this weekend, we'll cover it on the Juices Loose. So thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video.